Welcome to an overview of BookAhead and the services management. Services in BookAhead determine the item that the consumer is buying. For example, it might be a particular room type. It could be, if you're a rental car operator, it'll be a type of vehicle. If you're a tour operator, it could be a seat on a tour. So a service describes what they're actually buying. So if we have a look here at the services management section, once you're logged in, you'll be able to access this area via your administration panel. And the services management area will list anything that's already been added or give you the opportunity to add a brand new service. So you can see here we've got a demonstration for Sanctuary Palm Cove as the operator, so this will be replaced obviously by your name, your property name or operation. And then we've got the services listed here, so you can see that one operator might have a number of services, and in the case of Sanctuary Palm Cove they've got a number of different room types which people stay in at the property. You can also allocate different service types such as packages, tours, and these services might be provided by operators other than yourself. This gives you the opportunity to upsell and add on to consumers' itineraries as they're booking via your site. So we'll have a look at adding a service. And we'll, excuse me, we'll add the service as though it's from new. So when first entering this area, you may or may not have services already listed. And you can see now we're in the service management section. We've got the tab selected for services, and that sort of follows on by things we need to attach to services, which we'll discuss later, which is an offer, which decides how much people need to pay and what conditions are attached to using your service, and availability, which is of course whether it's available for sale or on request or sold out, and that we'll cover those details in another section. So I'll add a day tour type, and I've selected the service. It'll then let me select a subcategory. So I'll call it a city sites tour, and I'll create an operator. So I'll make something up. So we're saying that a supplier called the Cairns Tour Company, based in Australia, Queensland and Cairns. We can also select any relevant tourism regions to which it belongs. And then we've got the operator service description, which would be how you would describe this service that you're adding. So we'll just improvise here. So we've added some details. Now you may or may not need to add additional terms and conditions related to the service. So when you add your operator details in your profile, that determines your normal terms and conditions and cancellation policies. If this service has additional or different terms or cancellation policy, they should be added here. So we'll just put something as a dummy run there. And just excuse my fairly basic typing. So we'll okay, so having done the terms and conditions or cancellation policy, and you could have left those blank if they were just generic for all your other terms and conditions, we can also browse to an image that represents that service. So you'll basically just browse to your local drive and we'll find something. We'll just have to make something up for now. And so you may save a local picture that is a photograph of that service, and that will be uploaded and attached to this new service that you're adding. Okay, now we've saved the service, we can add an offer to the service. So we'll cover that in another section, which is basically you'll then determine how much it is to use that service, and determine what sort of pricing structure that offer will have. So we'll just go back to services at this point, just to cover off the ones that are already listed there. And a fairly useful thing in the services section is that you might find a lot of your room types, for example, if you're an accommodation operator, are quite similar. So rather than have to retype everything, we can say, for example, use one of your room types as a basis for a new service you might want to add. So for example, if you had a 4-bedroom apartment and it was very similar to the 2-bedroom apartment but larger, here I can just select this 2-bedroom apartment, and up on this section here, copy service. And so we'll just patiently wait there as that returns. Now what that's now done is created a new service name as copy of 2-bedroom apartment. So of course we're going to change that to 4-bedroom apartment. We can select the sub-service here of a 3+ bedroom apartment accommodation type. It's basically the other same details are very similar, and we might of course here say change the correct bedding configuration. And I'll just make these things up as we go along. Now in this case, if we leave the terms and conditions and cancellation policy blank, it will default to your operator specific terms and conditions, so there's no need to upload those if there's nothing new to add for this room type or this service type. So again, we've just basically cloned or copied that previous apartment and had to do very minimal typing in order to add a new service, as you saw there. I'm not going to attach, I'll leave the image attached as previously existed, so we can view the image that exists for this service. And that we just get a snapshot of it there so you can see what's been loaded. So I'm going to retain that image as a representative image for this particular service, and otherwise we could of course browse to a new one if you'd like to change that image. And now I'll just submit those entries. And again, we go to be prompted that we should now add an offer for this service, because until an offer exists, the services won't link to your availability calendar, and the information consumers will need to book. But that's a brief overview of services. So hopefully that explains that basically you'll add for your own tourism operation or colleagues or complementary products in the industry that you use. You'll add a service which describes what they provide, and that's all looked after in the operator service management area. Hopefully that's been some help.